Yes, I have had a haircut, thank you for noticing. Hello you lot, Miller Corner here, welcome back once again, and a very warm welcome to anyone new who might be watching. You might be able to notice that the weather is pretty crap today. In fact, over the last few weeks, someone in Britain has clearly forgotten to turn the rain off because it hasn't stopped. I was going to work on the car or go and drive it or do whatever today, but frankly, Mother Nature says no. So I'm going to instead do something that's very rarely talked about in the YouTuber sphere, and that is how to actually be a YouTuber. It's something that is very easy to do if you're already doing it, but obviously if you already watch videos but don't make them, you might not know what actually goes into it. But a lot of people I do know would like to be able to do it, but think that they don't have the skill, the time, the technology, the experience, anything like that to do it themselves. Well, I want to show you that if you want to make your own YouTube channel, it can be surprisingly easy, fantastic fun, and pretty rewarding, it has to be said. I'm going to focus mainly on the car stuff because that's what I do. In fact, I do this channel, Miller Corner, as my own personal channel, and I run two channels for work, both Classics World and Fast Car. So I've got a lot of experience making and producing and releasing car-related YouTube content. I can't advise you on makeup tutorials or gardening or fashion or anything like that. That was pretty obvious. So instead, let's concentrate purely on how to be a car YouTuber. It wouldn't be a talking video without a cup of tea, so I've got one here. And let's start with the most basic thing for being a YouTuber, and that's why. Why are you doing it? What was your motivation? Do you want to do it to document the build you're doing? Do you want to do it so you can kind of show off what you've built? Do you want to review cars? What actually do you want to do YouTube for? The first bit of advice I give you is don't do it with an aim to doing it for a living or earning loads of money or becoming famous, because 9 times out of 10, that doesn't happen. But there's plenty of reasons why you might want to do it, to document your build, to give you the motivation to carry on with your car, whether it's a restoration, a rebuild, or just improving, modifying, whatever. You might want to do road tests, you might want to go on road trips, or you might just want to show people that you're actually pretty decent with a camera or a decent presenter. It's a really good portfolio piece that actually helped me to get my job making videos, so it's definitely a useful thing to have. Now let's talk about the how. It sounds fairly obvious to say, but you can just film YouTube videos on your phone these days. Pretty much every smartphone you can buy does 1080p video, and some will even do 4K if you've got a high enough end one. It's really easy to make YouTube videos on a phone these days, and if that's all you've got, go for it. You can produce fantastic quality stuff with minimal expenditure using stuff that you probably already own. But be warned, if you do want to grow to a really big audience and share what you do, as you start building the number of viewers and subscribers you've got, it does become obvious when something is filmed on a phone. So gradually, you might want to step your game up to some decent camera gear as you grow and make the channel bigger. Me personally, I've used all manner of DSLRs and compact cameras since I started this channel over 4 years ago now. At the moment, I use a Canon M10, although that is not long for the channel. I'm actually looking at buying a bigger DSLR to up the quality a little bit, and I use a couple of GoPros, a Hero 4 and a Hero 4 Session for the in-car stuff and for little up-close stuff like when I'm working on the car. Do a bit of research, look at some video clips, look at what YouTubers that you watch are using, and work out what's best for what you want to film and whatever your budget is. Once you've decided what cameras you're using, you then need to work out how you're actually going to use them. Are you going to lock it off on a tripod? Are you going to go handheld vloggy style? Or are you going to get someone to follow you around as a camera person, your mum, your friend, whatever? If you are going to go handheld or get a camera person, it's probably worth investing in a gimbal because it makes your handheld shots fantastically smooth and really sweet and a really enjoyable watch. There's nothing worse in my opinion than watching a video that's all bobby uppy downy and floating around because it's just being filmed with someone's phone or camera in their hand. But to be fair, a lot of phone videos are automatically stabilized when you're filming them, so you might get away with it if you fancy. Sound is probably the most important thing for making a video. You can make a video that's kind of subpar visually as long as the sound quality is up to scratch. People might stick around if your video doesn't look very good, but if it doesn't sound very good, they're going to be gone. I would always advise to use microphones, particularly when you're filming outside, because camera microphones usually aren't the best quality and they pick up all the surrounding noise in the room, not just your voice. If you're outside, that can include things like footsteps of people walking past, wind noise, birds, dogs, and all number of things that make your videos look crap. And for evidence of that, you've only got to look at some of my earlier videos when I was just using audio off of the camera. And it needn't be expensive either. You can get a little little lapel mic like this one I'm wearing for about 20-25 quid off Amazon. Other websites are available, and you could even just plug it straight into your phone and record off that. It's worth noting, if you're filming on your phone though, test the sound beforehand, because there's nothing worse than you do a big long video, then find out your microphone wasn't actually recording and you've got no sound at all. You can either record on your phone, or we at work use little Tascam sound recorders separate to the camera, so that means if worst case scenario they do fail, we've got sound from the camera and from the Tascam, and we can work together and work out which one's best. Good sound is the #1 ingredient to a good YouTube video. You might have noticed recently that my audio quality has stepped up, and that's because I've taken the step to wearing an external mic. Do it, that's my biggest piece of advice for filming videos. So you know why you're doing it, and you've got the equipment to do it, you've done all your research, you've bought your cameras and your microphones, you're ready to go. But now you need to look at what you're actually going to make your videos about. Are they going to be reviews and road tests? Is it going to be how to fix and repair cars, a restoration? Is it a modified build? What are you actually doing your videos about? Particularly involved with cars, there are so many types you can choose from. Me personally, I've kind of floated around from one theme to another, but generally I always come back to the build on this, my Fiat Seicento Sporting, as I modify it and improve it how I want to. But I'd always advise not to pigeonhole yourself too much. You can make all your videos on one very specific topic, but that does mean that if you stray off that topic at all, the views are probably going to be disappointingly low in comparison. Initially, I did only really do car videos modifying my Fiat Seicento, and they got decent views, but whenever I went to a show or anything, they wouldn't, because that's not what my audience were there for. Now, if you are looking to get quite large views, if you're looking to grow your channel, that is important to bear in mind. Don't pigeonhole yourself too much, otherwise if you stray even slightly off that topic, the views are going to drop off a cliff. The other thing to think about is how big an audience there is for what you want to make videos on. Your MX-5 turbo drift build might be fantastically exciting for you, and you might be making great videos on it, but the fact of the matter is that on YouTube, hundreds of other people have been there and done that before you, and that means whilst there is an audience for it, it's pretty unlikely that your videos are going to stand out and come up first when people search for them, because there are so many others that were done first. Equally, however, you don't want to necessarily do anything too niche, because there might not actually be that big of an audience for you putting coilovers on your Daewoo Matiz. I did videos on modifying my Seicento because that's the car I owned and that's what I wanted to show people. But as luck would have it, there aren't really any English-speaking Seicento videos on YouTube. And that means if you type Fiat Seicento in, one of my videos will probably be the first result. That means that when people were searching for it, they were going to me, and that gradually built my audience up to the point where I suddenly discovered there is actually quite a big audience for these mad little cars. I love them, you love them, so I'm going to keep doing it. That's not to say there's an exact science to this though. Ian from Hubnut did a series restoring an Invacar, and that got massive amounts of views and people love it. So whilst it is worth doing your research, don't always take it for granted that a popular car will get loads of views or an obscure one won't. As your popularity grows though, people will hopefully be coming for you and not just your content. As you branch off, you might well find the views drop down initially, but if people like what you're doing enough, the views will pick back up again, even if you're not sticking to that core product, just because they like watching you and what you do. If you want to gradually build your audience up, my biggest bit of advice would be upload regularly and at a consistent time. You lot should know by now that I upload 5 PM every Friday, and that will always be the case unless there's any emergencies or anything. And that I would always say, have that predictable scheduled time that people can expect a video from you, because they'll keep coming back like a TV show. If, however, you're random, you're sporadic, you've got weeks between your videos and they're uploaded just whenever you're finished with them, there's a fairly good chance that people won't actually keep coming back. If you want to grow the numbers, be consistent and be predictable. But most importantly, enjoy it. Make the videos you want at your own pace, release them when you want, and make them about what you want. Ultimately, YouTube isn't a job or a career unless you do extremely well, and that takes a hell of a lot of time to build up to. So just have fun, treat it as a hobby, do it when you want to do it and how you want to do it. Watch the audience grow, watch the views grow, interact with your audience, reply to comments. If you get any feedback, act on it, because usually it's actually quite useful. It's the most satisfying thing in the world to think that these videos that you're putting all this effort into are being watched and responded to by people all over the world. Ultimately, this is only a bit of fun, but it's become so much more than that over the 4 or 5 years that I've been doing it. So there you have it. Those are my tips on how to make a car YouTube channel. And obviously you can apply a lot of this to non-car related channels as well, but I've only done car stuff really, so that's all I can advise on. Don't expect to be an overnight success, because 99% of people aren't, and it doesn't matter if you've only got 100 subscribers. If you enjoy doing it and people are watching your videos and they're enjoying them, that's what it's all about. And on that note, I'm going to go and make some more mad videos for you lovely lot to enjoy. Catch you soon and have a good one.